They're chasing the big old monster.
The big monster.
Chasing the big monster.
Are we doing this? What are we doing right now?
We're doing this. I was waiting for Paige. That is actually kind of true.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm basically ready to go.
Excellent. All right. Adventurers.
Yes.
Welcome back.
Hello.
Thank you for
Hi.
returning to the table. When last we met, we had braved our way into the aptly named Underways at the behest of your patron and employer, Mr. Pure Chance, an orange tabaxi who works in a little workshop and requires all sorts of trinkets and tools. Things that adventurers happen to be quite good at procuring. So you all had gone down into sort of these subterranean passages that have existed underneath the beautiful, fair city of Aquumbra in the free ports to procure him some curios. Unfortunately, you did wind up finding a tad more than you had bargained for in the form of a dying man with a glowing orb and a gigantic crustacean monster chasing after him, who you managed to defeat with the help of the orb as the dying man died and turned out to not be a man after all, but instead a rainbow-colored serpent. So when last we met, you were sort of standing triumphant in the underways next to a gigantic hole leading sort of further into the underways and maybe even leading into the dreaded Underdark. A series of subterranean caverns and passages and cities and communities that exist far below the surface of the continents, the surface world you know so well. And we will open. So we can do one of two things. If you would like, you can stay and continue to investigate the scene of your battle, the scene of this Serpent Man's death, or we could fast forward a bit as you make your way out of the Underways. I don't think that I said last time that you guys had made your way to the surface quite yet, so I will let you all decide the path that we take here.
What do you think, friends?
Have we already inspected the scene? We have not.
We have not
right?
inspected the scene.
We have not.
I would say it's very dark in the scene. I don't know if we've got the light to inspect the scene.
We can see in the dark, right? Some of us can.
You do have dark vision. However, it's just to make out basic features. None of you, I believe, see perfectly in the dark.
I can. Sorry, go ahead. Go for it.
I think I have light as a spell.
There are several ways. You all do have access to several means.
I have produce flame, which could also make some light. But also, we're looking for a gold orb or like ore, and we did find a gold orb with a B.
What's your point, Mike?
Is this what he's looking for?
So, okay. So we went down there looking for curios, right?
I believe so two things that had just occurred to me. I did say last time that there were sort of torch sconces. This was a lit portion of the Underways, which is not always true.
Okay.
I did also last time say that Pure Chance had sent you down specifically for a particular kind of ore that he just wanted you to chip a little bit off of and then bring back up to the surface.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Cool. Tight. Well, then I guess if somebody can give us enough light to see if maybe there's some ore in this little cavern we're in, and then we can make our way back up to the surface.
Sure. So I'm gonna cast light, which is an at-will cantrip.
Perfect.
And
Very
so
nice.
I just start, glowing as I do.
You could, if you wanted to. I believe with light you can touch an object and actually light it up, which I always find players are very creative in what they choose to light. I've had people light bricks that they've thrown. I've had people light. I want to stop talking now.
That's okay.
Just D&D story time.
Is there stuff to light up in there? The torch? Are there just torch sconces, or are there torches in the sconces?
I think it's they're kind of those like iron numbers, you know what I'm saying, where they're like connected in, and then somebody, it's a long debated mystery, who keeps torches in dungeons lit.
That's a fair point.
They're lit there. I'm not sure you can like break one off. And
I
walk with it.
think I'm gonna
You guys are
light
strong,
my own mace, because then I can carry it around and like stick it in people's faces.
I like it. Okay.
Okay, cool.
All right. With a word. Actually, I don't know if light is a verbal or component spell, but
It is touch.
it is touch.
Based.
Sure. So with a touch and a little bit of Salune's magic, through which you are her vessel for her divine will, you touch your mace. I shouldn't say ablaze, but sure enough, which becomes a beacon in the darkness of the underways. Yes.
Okay, so whose turn is it now?
So we're out of initiative. There are no turns.
Oh,
we're
so
just
doing whatever
we're just
we
looking
want.
around.
Yes.
So we're just kind of. So I'm gonna wander around and look at some walls.
How much light are we getting from this?
That is
So-
an excellent question. There should be a range.
Yeah, 1 sec. Blah, 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 blah. Until the spell... 20-foot radius.
20-foot radius.
And a dim light for an additional 20 feet.
So you'd have to be if you go off into the right now we have like 2 seconds. We have the hallway where we fought, and then we have the cavern into which the gigantic crustacean creature escaped. So we those are our 2 places right now.
How big is the cavern?
The cavern's probably, I think I said last time, probably 100 feet, 100 square feet.
Okay.
So it's not small. It's kind of small.
So what do you guys say? Like we just kind of say, hey, let's walk the perimeter.
Actually, yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, please.
We walk the perimeter of the cavern with our glowy friend here, lighting stuff up. Do you have a different idea, Mike?
No, I will follow. I would probably also cast Produce Flame just to have that for my own light with me, but also I could have it at the ready in case we run into more of his buddies,
Sure.
I guess.
I
and
see.
Follow
I
along
see.
with.
Sure. Do you
Or
want
is
to
it
make a
that the
perception check?
light of Peru?
I'll take a perception check, yeah.
Why not? Roll it up, dude. Let's see.
What am I rolling here?
Perception. D20 perception.
D20.
I remembered the dice today.
Hey.
I remembered the dice today. That was definitely an oversight on my part.
Nat 20.
Nat 20. Perfect.
Woo!
All right. So, if you remember, this particular cavern that you were in has several exits, which is what made it very, very difficult to find the crustacean as it escaped last time. So it escaped down one of the tunnels. You were not sure quite which. When you make your way around to each, as Celeste and Avriel try and check the walls for some ore, kind of poke around. And you are very confident. You've spent time out in the woods, in the wilds. You know when something's moving towards you. You know when prey is escaping. You are alone for the time being.
Okay.
For the time being. We will return to our 2 miners, prospective miners here.
Okay, so you want to just kind of walk around the cave? You see anything?
Sure, let's check it out.
All right.
Check it out.
Check out these walls.
I'm going to have, since you are the one with the light, Celeste, I'm going to have you make an investigation check.
Okay.
Let's see. And I'm going to make a check as well.
I got a 17.
17. All right. So I also just made, for the listening public, I've also made some rolls myself. You walk around simultaneously as Wynn is kind of checking to make sure that you are alone. You make your way and examine the walls of the cavern. You are in luck. It would have taken you quite some time to actually make your way, without busting through a wall, which is always, an option that you can all attempt. It would have taken you quite some time to make your way to a cavern like this to find a large vein of the ore that you are looking for. There is a small vein, and Pure Chance did say he did not need quite a lot. You are in luck, sort of on the opposite side of the cavern, near one of the exits that Wynn has checked. You sort of brush away some moss and move some dirt around a little bit, and sure enough, a blue metal or blue substance, a blue rock. I shouldn't say metal; it's not been tempered yet. Or I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna look all of you in the eye and say I completely understand the process of turning things into metal. So I'm not gonna do that. But there is a blue, sort of a deep blue stone that to be the particular kind of substance that Pure Chance is looking for.
Praise to Salune.
Yeah. Will you make an intelligence check for me?
Uh-oh.
Now you done it.
Which one do I use? 20?
D20. Yep.
Okay, sorry.
All good.
12.
12. You remember, you're sort of trying to reach back into your memory to find the name of this ore. Chance mentioned it a couple times, and you've talked about it and found it before, but it's just out of your reach, just out of your grasp. I'm so sorry.
Hey, this is a shiny looking thing. Isn't this an interesting shiny looking thing?
That is a super
Sure
interesting,
is.
shiny looking thing. Didn't our boss say that the shiny looking thing we were looking for was blue
And shiny.
and shiny?
Probably. I feel like we should just err on the side of caution and crack any shiny looking thing out of the wall that we find. We are adventurers.
That's a good point.
Worst case, we can sell it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did anyone mention whether there would be any danger in cracking the shiny blue stuff out of the wall? Does anybody remember that? That if we struck this to crack it out of the wall, that it might, I don't know, explode?
Gabrielle.
Salune will protect us.
It's time for your own intelligence check.
Okay. Which one do I roll?
This guy.
Okay, be smart, girl. Be smart. Oh, snap. 8.
8.
Do you have any modifier? Does that matter here?
Yes. So whatever her intelligence modifier is, you can add it to the roll.
Is that dexterity or wisdom?
Oh, no. Here you go.
I have a 12.
You have
modifier.
12. 12 not bad.
No,
Okay.
you have a +1.
Oh, I have a +1.
Oh, 9.
Okay, so I have 9.
So with a 9, your concern valid because you don't quite remember the method of extraction that Chance specified. But for the most part, because you've gone and you found this stuff before, to the best of your memory, only one of the ores, rocks, shiny things that you have been sent to extract from a wall in the underways has ever produced any flame or has ever been even remotely combustible. Which one that is, you're not entirely sure.
Homie, any thoughts here?
Isn't he away from us? Hey, when?
No, he's not so far away. I said 100 feet, and then I was thinking about how big my apartment is, and I was like, 100 square feet's not actually that large.
It's not that large.
That's
yeah.
a really
He's
depressing
in the
commentary on my living conditions.
Next time on D&D.
But Chris, are you okay?
This is my box. Win, my friend.
I guess I would say we should try to go for it. We have healers here. Worst case, we could just kind of heal each other up and be on our way.
So in that case, I would volunteer to extract the stone since I don't use magic and can't heal myself. So I'd be looking to one of you to heal me if something goes terribly, terribly wrong, which it very well may.
You got this.
Very well thought out. Fair enough. All right, are you going to attempt to...
I am. I'm going to attempt to use my... How big is the vein?
The vein, I would say, maybe 2 feet. Maybe 2 feet
I mean,
long.
and width?
Width, probably an inch.
Okay, so I'm going to use my dagger, I suppose, because that's the only weapon I have that would be useful here to try to pry out some of the stone.
All right, let's make it. Why don't you make a strength check for me?
My strength check is wait.
So
do
it's
I have to
going
roll
to
something?
be, you roll your d20, so the big one. And then it's that number plus whatever the single digit number at the bottom there is.
Okay. Be strong, Davriel. 21.
21.
Ooh.
Very strong.
Just
Very
ripping out a
strong.
chunk of the wall.
That's right. Flexing. Sure enough, this is, once again, not your first time doing this. You managed to find a nice sort of natural crack at about the middle of the vein. And with a little bit of elbow grease, sure enough, a very satisfying sort of snap. And a decent chunk of this kind of stone, this blue stone, falls into your hand. And you're positive that this is probably going to be more than enough for pure chances purposes. You're set to jet. And no explosion.
Huzzah.
Hey.
So, you may continue. Unexploded.
Hey, y'all. Want to head back up to the surface?
Yeah, I'm game for that.
Let's go back up to the surface.
Let's make some money.
Let's make some money.
Perfect. All
For
right.
Salune. Of course.
What?
For Salune.
For Salute.
yeah.
Pray Salune.
Praise the Lord.
I'm role playing.
I feel like I need to do more of that. Okay. Fair comrades. We have extracted said stone, whose name we cannot recall, but we're 90% sure this is what it is. Let's hearken back to the surface.
Let's bloweth
Let's
this
blow
popsicle
with
stand.
This popsicle stand.
Jeez. Excellent.
All right, let's do it, guys. Let's go.
Fantastic. All right. You make your way out of the cavern, make your way back up through the tunnel. You retrace your steps. You weren't so far in that it takes you an hour. And I would say you met up with Pure Chance in the morning. He gave you the assignment. You probably went down at about noon. This is honestly, this whole process has, despite the fact that it took us 3 hours to play through that battle last time. And it's a 2 hour cut that we did. So it probably only took about 45 minutes. 10 minutes to get in there, probably another 2 minutes to fight, another 10 minutes kind of in the aftermath, and now you're going to take another 10 minutes to get on out. So it's probably early afternoon as you kind of make your way back out up to Aquumber. You retrace your steps and emerge from the underways through a grated door in an alleyway behind Pure Chance's workshop. I should mention, I have made a city map for you, and I've written a little bit of Aquumbran history. Right now, and I'm going to try and do this without getting too far away from my microphone. Right now, you are in the neighborhood of Roxburgh. Yes. Roxburgh. So you are in what is sort of colloquially referred to as the docking district. Now, in many other cities and many other fantasy settings, the docks are where, sailors hang out, mercenaries, maybe people who are up to, no good, some nefarious folks, fellas, and everything. But in this city, in Aquumbra, for the most part, sort of kind of like the confederation of cities on the Isthmus, the free ports. This city, Aquumbra, is kind of more like a confederation of neighborhoods. The docking district is where a lot of kind of business happens, where a lot of, I wouldn't say offices, but there are warehouses, there are places where people are sort of exchanging large quantities of goods. Sure enough, shipments kind of come in. If you wanted to find trouble here, I'm sure you could. There are, sort of pirates that operate in these waters who sometimes harass cities on the continents, who come to the free ports sort of seeking refuge from authorities abroad. But for the most part, it's a pretty quiet place where people are trying to do business and then go home to their families and their hobbies. This is where Pure Chance's workshop is. You know it as sort of a nondescript building that doesn't look like much on the outside, but sort of inside houses a number of oddities, curios, contraptions, machines. There are pipes running all over the inside of it. There are always noises. There's always something going on that you can sort of hear as you approach this space. So you make your way up to the back of said building. You walk around to the front looking for the all too familiar door through which you can usually find your orange-furred benefactor, only to see an unfortunately too familiar sight this fine, or maybe not so fine day. A gigantic hole has been blown in the front of Pure Chance's workshop. There isn't a soul around. What do you do?
May I ask a couple of questions?
Absolutely.
And I don't know if this would require like a perception check. When you say a huge hole, do we smell anything that would indicate whether the hole was the result of an explosion or whether it was just like brunt force?
Why don't you make an investigation check for me?
12 total.
Pretty good. Okay, so you start to sort of look for signs of an explosion. You're looking for scorch marks, blast patterns, trying to check and sort of see how things fell, looking at the edges of this sort of hole. You step closer to the hole itself to investigate and realize that the rubble is not inside of the building. It's outside of the building, which suggests to you, to Avriel, that the explosion, whatever it was, started inside, came out, rather than something busting in. Mm-hmm. So you don't see any scorch marks for the most part, but your main sort of takeaway after having a look around is rubble placement. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Well, I think I'm going to start just approaching, like starting to peer inside the shop. This is my paycheck that I'm concerned with.
That's an excellent point.
I assume that I'm also on relatively good terms with Chance, so I'm also concerned, intrigued. So I don't think I'm going to just run in, but I'm going to start getting closer and peering in, like what just happened.
That's an excellent point. So you peer in and kind of start to look around. About 5 feet inside, on a now kind of sagging, half-destroyed table, is an odd brass kind of contraption that appears to be hooked into one of the pipes. One of the myriad pipes that is crisscrossing the walls that Pure Chance has sort of constructed here. None of which you're 100% sure what it is they do. Their functionality is random for the most part, unknowable to you, and good luck asking. You kind of trace its path and then realize it's connected to a now sort of destroyed box that is sitting just above the site of the blast. You kind of peer in, and as your eyes move from the back, you hear a familiar voice call out to you from sort of further into the workshop. Oh, hey, you're back. You like what I've done with the place? You turn your head, and sure enough, Pure Chance is sat in a corner, sort of dusting himself off. There weren't scorch marks on the rubble, but there are scorch marks on your friend and your employer, sure enough. But he seems to be in good spirits. After a quick survey, maybe a medicine check might reveal slightly more wrong with him. But he's not bleeding. There doesn't appear to be any parts of him missing. He seems to be okay. He kind of stands up and moves towards you. I'm going to assume, Davriel and Celeste, that you sort of follow Wynn in now that you've heard Chance, say something. He walks over and just sort of stands and kind of looks at the hole a little bit. You get the sense he's not really kind of understanding or comprehending exactly what it is he's done for the most part. Tabaxi you would guess that he's probably he's a young adult for the most part. It's a little hard to tell with Tabaxi for the most part. In fact, there are a lot of things about Tabaxi that's a little hard to tell. But Chance is sort of a young man who just, once again, has a lot of money. It's very odd. You're not really sure where his money comes from, but hey, your checks have always cleared, so... Not checks. There are no checks in Dungeons, and maybe there are checks in Dungeons and Dragons. I'm not going to come up with the banking system.
IOUs.
I have a job that I have to do. He walks over and he just looks at you guys, and he goes, "Hey, did you find my ore?"
I'm gonna. Can I do a medicine check on him?
Totally, absolutely,
Okay.
Go for it.
Just want to see how our friend is doing. Okay, yeah, so it's like 22.
22, awesome. So you've seen Chance work, and he usually has sort of tools, in his hands, and is usually kind of working on something. Clearly, the contraption that is on this table connected is what he was messing around with before this whole thing sort of blew up. There is, by your estimation, there is no chance that he is not at least somewhat concussed. He's not bleeding, but the blast, maybe a little tinnitus in there as well, but there's no way he walked away from this completely unscathed. But he seems to be in good spirits, so as long as he doesn't, play too many video games and look at too many screens for the next couple days, he should probably be okay. Definitely not speaking from experience.
Another question. How knowledgeable on things is Chance? Is he more just like taking items and like flipping them, or is he like a breadth of knowledge on?
Or do we know?
So,
or can we know?
Yes, you definitely do know. If anybody is going to be able to, so I would assume you're alluding to the orb.
I am.
The orb. I just like saying it that way. If anybody is going to know about this, or at the very least know a guy who knows about this, it's definitely Chance.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Is it possible to know whether the explosion had anything to do with the ore we collected?
That's an excellent question. You could investigate. You could walk over and investigate the contraption to see if if there's any sort of blue alloy in there or anything.
What do y'all think?
Or should we just ask
Hey,
Chance? What's up,
Buddy.
pal? What happened? What's going on here?
First of all, just throwing out that maybe you don't want to take a nap anytime in the next 4 to 5 hours. Just a useful piece of info for you.
Honestly,
there.
this is the most awake I've been in like a week. Honestly, I know. Sorry, bad pun. Huge breakthrough today. Truly, really exciting stuff. Let me tell you.
What you been up to, Chance?
Oh, it's just I'm trying to make sure that this thing conducts sort of a magic, and he will continue. He describes in vivid detail, exactly what it was he was trying to do with this. Something about conducting magical power, refocusing it, reconnecting it to the weave, the primordial. If you don't stop him, he will talk your ear off for the next 10 minutes about exactly what it was he was trying to do.
So, Chance, just quick question.
Yep. Sorry.
No, quick
Absolutely.
question.
I'm having a real tough time collecting my thoughts right now for some reason.
Yeah, well, while you're feeling a little discombobulated, real curious to know that ore you sent us down into the What was it called?
I forget.
The underways.
And
The
is there
underways.
underways?
Yes, yes.
The ore you sent us into the underways.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ore.
Yep.
Does that ore, is that part of your experiment?
Yes and no. It's going to be a part of the next part of the experiment, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you in danger?
I mean, aren't we all sort of in danger, all the time, ever? I mean, when you leave your house in the morning, don't you accept some sort of form of necessary risk?
Comrades, how are we feeling about turning the ore over to this dude? I don't know. I'm getting real nervous.
Do we just want to make sure he's using it responsibly? Is that
I mean,
the goal?
it's kind of like I don't want to be around if he's doing what he's doing. It's going to blow some shit up.
That's a good point.
It's true.
That's a good point.
So I'm almost inclined to like.
You know what? Hold on.
Well-
Let's find out if this is the first time the chances ever maybe put your lives in danger.
Because I'm thinking it's not.
That's true. What history do we have with Chance?
So this is, once again, I've made my rolls. You've definitely heard some stories about potentially dangerous stuff that's gone down in Chance's workshop, but this is the first time that you've ever been around for the aftermath or for the event itself. So he's never, to your knowledge, he's never in like the roughly 8 months that y'all have been in town and working for him, he has never blown anything up around you before. A lot of caveats in that.
So as a lawful goody, I'm going to be like, well, we have to protect him from himself, even if it means that we don't get this gold, which is very unfortunate. But also, I don't know.
The gold. And
I don't.
he disappears back into the workshop.
He's
rummaging around.
just straight eavesdropping on us.
For the
Okay.
yeah, a little bit.
I mean, based
Do
on
his neighbors have insurance?
So this is not a residential area.
Okay, so it's
Thankfully.
okay.
I mean, based on my lore, I really despise human civilization and invention. So I have a look of disgust on my face this whole time. However,
That's a good point.
I need coin to save my fellow family
That's
and
true.
kin.
That's true.
So I guess I'm hesitant to not turn over the ore because if he wants to blow himself up, that's his problem. I just want to help out my people.
But as someone who has rejected magic because of the abuse of magic, I'm very concerned about giving this ore to someone so reckless who's tapping into primordial forces he does not understand.
Is this, sorry, you said this was magic, right? This isn't some steam or some other machine or something. This is magic.
So Chance sort of works at the intersection of technology and
Okay.
magic.
Fair point.
He is what is known as an artificer. Or at the very least, if he were a player character, he would be an artificer, probably.
And he's still in the back room right now?
He is in the back, rummaging through the chest that contains the payout. You know what I'm saying?
Well, if we feel that way, should we tell him about this orb that we found? This potentially very dangerous orb? Or should we take this somewhere else for some more information?
Good point.
Well, the orb technically belongs to us. So unless we think he's going to straight up
By the
snatch
law
it,
of finders keepers.
Right.
I think we can get some intel from him on the orb without handing it over. I
Here's-
think the more concern is the vein. Do we give him the metal?
So here's my suggestion. I think we ask him, before we give him the orb, we ask him about the orb, see what he tells us, and then if we're satisfied with the answers, we give him the ore so that if he blows himself up, at least we've got the information we need about the orb.
I like the way you think. What Davriel said.
Very
Ditto.
cool. Okay, so what are we asking first? So Chance is going to return back to you all at the front of the workshop, standing in the hole, and he's going to give each one of you a gold piece for your troubles. So he's going to Davriel. Since you're the one with the ore, he's gonna make the exchange with you first. Are you handing it over or?
I'm gonna say, pause, a moment, Chance.
Oh, absolutely. What can I do for you?
We had an experience in the underways. Have you heard of a serpent people, rainbow in color?
That rings a bell. Why? I mean, things that are rainbow usually not dangerous, right? You know. Whoever heard of a rainbow-colored sword? Wait, no, I have heard of a rainbow-colored sword. Never mind. Continue.
We encountered a crustacean of remarkable size that attacked us.
He's kind of viscerally disgusted at the mention of a crustacean large enough to attack you. He's like, I am. Look. that sounds like more than 1 gold piece's worth of trouble. If you come back in a couple days, I can give you more. Because that sounds like a not particularly fun day out.
Well, the thing is, we actually were hoping for a little intel from you.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
On an artifact that we recovered from these people.
You say the word artifact, and his face, as best you can tell, his face just lights up, and he goes, I do love an artifact.
Chance, I know you do.
I do love an artifact. Okay, fantastic. Well, and he kind of scurries off into the back and rolls over a table on wheels that has a bunch of kind of tools screwed into it. There are clamps, there are latches, there's a little tool kind of belt hanging off the side with chisels, hammers, and et cetera, et cetera. And in the middle, sort of a staging area that to be covered, with sort of conductive steel. And he sort of rolls it over to you and he says, well, let's get started, shall we?
How much do we trust Chance? Because I don't trust hardly nobody. How much do we trust him?
So that is a personal question for sort of you to decide. The only things I can tell you are you got to town, you were adventurers. Somebody said, hey, Pure Chance is always looking for people to go and get things for him, and he pays well. And you've been working with him for probably 7 of those 8 months so far. And he is also the person who he's been paying you. The gold is good. And he also recommended an inn where you are all currently staying.
Okay.
And on his recommendation, the 3 of you managed to get rooms. So
Okay.
you can decide whether or not that makes you bosom pals, or I would say it's probably been a professional relationship for the most part. No late night, no late night drinking sessions. No, you all have risked your lives together, the 3 of you.
Right.
But he's never, been. He's just the guy at the beginning who gives you the task and then rewards you at the end for your hard work.
So how comfortable do we feel letting him handle the orb? Because it sounds like that's kind of what he wants to do.
I say we let him look at it first and then see how much he gets from observing it.
I'm quite intrigued to see what this orb is potentially after our experience. So I would also say let's let him take a look. Let's also maybe reassure him that, hey, Chance. I'm going to actually walk over to Chance, put my hand on his shoulder, and say, "Don't blow us up."
He's gonna look at you and say, "Win, as always, I'm gonna do my absolute best, but it would be professionally reckless of me to make you a promise that I know that I can't keep." And he seems to be he is perfectly fine with that declaration. It does not even occur to him that is maybe something you don't want to hear in this moment. And he's going to go, and he's going to turn back and say, so orb?
Chance, I'm going to be real with you for a moment. Because we've known each other for a long time.
Absolutely.
I will show you this orb, but I want you to look at it and tell us what you're gleaning from your eyeballs. Because we did just walk over and you did just blow a hole in your wall and you are moderately concussed. So I'm not sure I feel comfortable actually handing this to you.
Okay, I understood roughly about half of what you said.
Chance?
Yes.
Look at me.
Uh-huh.
Look at me. Okay.
I'm sticking with you.
Chance, I'm going to hold this orb.
Okay.
And
I'm doing my best to focus.
You're going to look at it with your eyes.
Looking.
You're not going to touch it. You're not going to pick it up. You're not going to grab it from me. That'd be very rude.
So he has you're holding the orb up now, and you did say look with your eyes. You continue to give him instructions, but he is not paying attention to you whatsoever. In fact, he's kind of, as you hold it, once again, I'm going to try not to get too far away from the microphone, but he's kind of like hitting it from different angles right now, like kind of, yeah, and as you sort of move it away and attempt to keep your personal space, like he's just kind of getting closer a little bit. And, so Tabaxi are actually surprisingly tall. He's probably about 6'3", but he's but of a lighter frame. Tabaxi are sort of quite literally come in all shapes and colors, but for the most part are known to be extremely fleet of foot, excellent climbers, quiet, as they want to be. So to be honest with you, like trying to keep it completely away from him is a little difficult. and you sort of continue talking, and he continues to try and kind of get an angle. No checks necessary for this, but all three of you notice something odd. Down in the underways, the orb was glowing with sort of a magical hum that repelled that crustacean and made it very, very uncomfortable. Now, it's gone dark. It's not quite glass. It has a glassy look to it. But there isn't sort of that same hum. Avriel, you were the one holding it, and you were the one, who made the great throw that really messed the crab's kind of chest up. And you remember the way it feels, the way it sort of sounds, and it has gone dormant as Celeste holds it.
Celeste, give me the orb.
All right, girl. Celeste sort of flips around,
Hand it over.
slightly deploys her wings to
Okay.
keep Chance away, and hands it over.
I don't think you have the wings. I think you have the wings when you fairy Hulk out. I don't think you always have the wings.
Yes, well, we're just...
Fair enough. All
I'm going to
right,
have
but
to do
you're
more
trying-
research to know
Makes
that.
perfect sense. No worries. All good. Chance actually goes, that's a fantastic idea. Have different people hold it. We never know what the results might be. It might just really not like you, Celeste. It might like Davriel better. I have heard people say that.
Everybody likes me.
And he kind of, once again, disappears into the back again to sort of rummage through a cabinet. So, Davriel, this is your first time having it back in your hands. What are you looking for? What are you thinking, feeling right now?
I would like to do a... Can I do a perception check?
Totally. Yeah.
To this one?
What are you trying to look for?
I want to know if I note any changes, no matter how, like any minute changes in color, temperature, vibration, brightness, weight, anything
Got it.
when
Okay.
I'm holding it. Do I use this one?
Always D20. Yeah.
Always D20. Okay.
Until you're gonna try and fight something.
Okay.
Always D20.
So, it's only 11.
11. So you examine the orb and try and kind of look into its center. You can't see, when you're holding it, you can't see your hand through the other side. It is not completely translucent. It's sort of, you can kind of see just below the surface there appears to be some sort of fog, discoloration, something, but it is opaque. You don't feel the same energy. It sort of hummed, and it was a sort of not hot to the touch, but definitely warm when you held it. The main difference you feel, you could swear it is lighter than it was when you held it down in the underways. Not significantly, but it doesn't have kind of the same heft to it as it did when you flung it just an hour ago or so.
Didn't it react when Celeste was hulking out, or with like when you guys grabbed hands? Like didn't the energy it react with that? If I recall correctly.
It did react to something, but I have short-term memory loss and don't remember what happened.
No, that was a hell of a fight.
That was a big fight. I
was just wondering if we could kind of, I guess, re-simulate that here on the surface to try to activate this thing.
So at this moment, Chance sort of returns, and he has a. Do you know? God, what am I trying to say here? He has like a box with a bunch of little compartments. It's like an advent calendar, kind of, or like pill boxes. Like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
Yes.
But this one is probably 5 by 5, and it has these sort of little compartments. And he says, "Okay, I'm going to ask permission because clearly this is something we don't know what we're dealing with. I'm going to try and be safe. Okay, we don't want to have any more mishaps today. We're just going to put some stuff close to the orb and just see. What's it? Just see. How does that sound?"
Does anybody have to hold it while you're doing this? Or can it be on something?
The better question is, do you want to hold it while I do this? And that's a personal choice. I can't make that for you.
I'm of two minds. Like, I feel like if somebody doesn't hold it, then he might scamper away with it because I don't know. I'm just not feeling really
Hey,
trustworthy.
I got Entangle here. I could cast that. I could stop him in a heartbeat.
Okay. What do you guys think? Put
I
it
think-
down?
Do we think it will react to things the same if it's not being held by
It
someone?
was glowing before you picked it up in the underway, I believe. So I don't think
Okay.
that was amplified when picked up. I think I'd say let's go for it because I'm very curious as to what this is. I've never
Okay.
seen anything like this, and obviously it was quite significant what happened down there.
All right.
Let's go for it.
Okay, so for the next 3 minutes or so, Chance opens up the compartments one by one. So he has you place the orb kind of down on that table, that steel kind of plate in the middle, his little kind of staging area. He has not stopped following directions. He's not clamping anything, whacking anything. Orb down on the table. He starts opening up the compartments and taking out little sort of samples and kind of holding them close to the orb. And he's been doing this for about 2 minutes. You're about halfway through this sample box. He pops one open, and out of it, a small purple chunk. It seems a little squishy. And he brings it out, and sure enough, the orb flickers, and a low glow, a low hum seems to. I just realized I'm not saying any words. All I'm
Emanate.
doing is
Emanate.
emanate. It
Huge
begins
sound
to sort of.
effect.
I know. Well, I talk with my hands, and I'm such a physical guy, and then I'm just like, nobody can see you. Stop that. Begins to emanate from the orb. The closer he brings this sort of squishy purple chunk, the more the orb glows. His face kind of drops for a second, and then he goes, "Oh, gross," and he slams kind of this sample back into its compartment and shuts it extremely quickly. And he goes, "Okay, I don't know what I was expecting, but it definitely wasn't that. That's a problem. If I'm being honest, that is a huge, huge problem. I thought that was a problem." And he looks at the hole and sort of gestures there. I thought that was a problem. This actually is a much, much larger one, if I'm being entirely honest with
Chance, what were you holding?
you. Some people would call it a highly dangerous and possibly illegal bit of a beholder that somebody may or may not have slain hundreds, if not thousands of years ago, that I may or may not. I'm going to stop myself. But basically, it was a bit of an aberration. And he explains that what he was just doing was holding up sort of different substances, different bits of creatures, different bits of constructs, et cetera, et cetera. And that one, aberrations, pretty bad. Pretty bad.
So what does that tell you about the orb?
So far, it tells me that the orb has something to do with aberrations. And nothing else. But that's more than we knew like 2 minutes ago. So I'd say right now, every 2 minutes, huge discovery, that's a great working rate, let me tell you.
Chance, what exactly are aberrations?
Aberrations, basically bad stuff. Otherworldly creatures, nightmare fodder, horrifyingly dangerous beings, the likes of which many people living on the continents will never see and quite frankly should hope to never see. Which is why it's slightly concerning that you've brought me something that reacts so strongly to them. I don't know, roughly 30 minutes after, or like roughly an hour after I sent you down into what should have been like a wildly routine ore fetching mission. So, yeah.
Chance, do you know anyone else around here that we could like talk to about this, like an arcanist or anyone that's
Yes.
like?
It's funny you say that. I was just thinking that myself. Here's the thing. They don't like visitors. And frankly, they don't like me very much either.
I wonder why.
Hey, Win, buddy, pal, friend of mine, come on. I'm a lovable guy, all right? Who just also happens to be doing some home renovation right now. And once again, measures the hole. Why don't everybody make a perception check for me?
9.
18.
18, all right.
14.
14, all right. Gabrielle, you hear it first. Outside of the hole, small footsteps. And then, so if you would like, you can react to said footsteps, but it's not uncommon that there would be people sort of walking around right now.
How rapid are the footsteps?
Pretty rapid. Not like running, not sprinting, but definitely walking quickly. This person is either A, in a hurry, or B, has very short legs.
Who is that, I ask?
Who is that? And Chance goes, oh, thank God. Well, renovation should be done here in a couple seconds, and that's when you hear just a stream of expletives coming from outside of the workshop. You sort of turn around, and standing in the hole is a halfling that you have seen sort of leaving Chance's place before. And this guy he is sort of looking at the hole and is just like muttering to himself after, kind of, I don't want to like scream, like bad things, but he's just like, and now he's sort of like, you can see he's getting components, like spell components out and kind of like arranging things. And he's muttering under his breath. He's like, I'm going to take this guy for all he's worth. I swear. And Chance, Chance kind of peeks out from behind you guys and goes, oh, what's up, Nayland? How's it going? And this halfling sort of flips around and just goes, this one's going to cost you, Chance. I can't keep coming over here and cleaning up after you. This one's going to cost you. And Chance goes, hey, that's great. No worries. Thanks for coming on such short notice. I really appreciate it. Nayland goes, I was having lunch with my family, all right? Do you know how difficult it is to get my wife and all 9 of my kids around the same table at the same time, especially on a weekend, all right? Do you know how difficult that is, Chance? I was having a lovely day. And he just kind of launches into a tirade, and Chance is just sort of standing there going, I really appreciate you coming over. Thanks so much. And Nayland has sort of gotten his tools out and begins to cast the mending spell on sort of portions of the wall, and so he's just kind of magically reconstructing this wall kind of before your eyes. Never once breaking this argument with Chance, as Chance kind of dutifully bobs his head and starts, eventually, the way the conversation goes, Nayland is very upset. Chance keeps sort of asking him questions about things, asking him about the family, about different activities, who's doing what, who's best when it comes to combat training, if anybody's learning, how to be sneaky, if they want an internship in the workshop, et cetera, et cetera. And he kind of slowly, via parent talk, kind of brings Nayland down from like a 13 to like maybe just an 8, you know what I mean? You've never seen a halfling get so upset in your entire life. For the most part, halflings are known to be gregarious, sort of lovers of conversation, fine food and drink, and this is the first time you've really seen one, off the handle, and hopefully the last time as well. So you're welcome to do anything you would like over the course of this conversation, by the way. You can listen, you can interject.
I think I'd interject and be like, hey, Chance, so I know you're busy here, working on things. Who is this guy that you know of that is not a fan but might have some
have I never introduced you? Nayland. My God, Nayland, I'm so sorry. Wildly rude of me. This is my very good friend and compatriot, Vana. I got to tell you, me and Win go way back. Do you let that slide?
I'm just going to kind of scoff under my breath.
Yeah.
And just let it go.
He goes, we go way back. Let me tell you what. You need something burned down? This is your guy. And Nayland's going to go, I don't need anything burned down, Chance. In fact, I'd really like it if things stayed very unburned around here, if that's okay with you. And it kind of spins him up a little bit again. And Chance is like, okay, bad line of reasoning. You do anything else other than burning?
No.
Don't you you turn into animals instead? You wild shape. What are you talking about?
Maybe I'll interject a little bit to Nayland. Nayland is right.
Yeah, Nayland.
Say, Nayland, apologies for my boss here. He sometimes speaks a little off the top of the head there. We were told that you're very knowledgeable in certain artifacts. And we have something we were interested you help me look at.
Nayland stops you right there. He goes, stop it. Artifacts, don't want to know. I'm a simple carpenter. I build, and I build, and I build, all right? I keep my nose out of trouble. I take my paycheck home at the end of the day, all right? I make a 5-course meal. I drink my drinks, and I go to bed, all right? I don't artifacts, adventures. That's what he pays you people for, all right? He pays me to fix the walls. Granted, I wish he would call me, scry me. I guess I should, he doesn't call. He should scry me, ahead of time. Let's actually set something up instead of just demanding that I should. Once again, he's like spun back up.
I think I'm going to turn to my comrades here. As one who's lived in the woods solo most of my life, kind of like a pleading look like, I could use some help here. I think this guy could help us, but I don't know what to do.
I jump in and I say, Nayland, fair builder. It warms my soul to see magic used for restoration rather than destruction. You are truly gifted.
Wow. That was very, you know what? Make a charisma check.
Damn it. 3, but maybe it'll be enough. Maybe it'll be enough.
You are so earnest when you say this. And that kind of takes Nayland off. It puts him off his guard a little bit, and he temporarily stops his tantrum. And he just turns to Chance, and he goes, where do you find these people? Like, what?
Nayland. Hi. So I come in full like.
How tall is Celeste actually?
Oh, she's real tall.
Yeah, last time I checked, I think Celeste was a big girl. Yeah.
She's like 7 or 8 feet.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
So
he's just like straight. Nayland's probably roughly maybe tops out at 4. So he is truly just like looking straight up as you kind of approach him.
I'm gonna come over. I'm gonna be like beaming smile, more of an edge front door. Nayland, hi. It is such a pleasure to meet you. I am also a magic user for good. I can mend, I can heal, I can do all kinds of things. Is there any? Could you use any help? You're doing a fantastic, very professional job. But
so you actually, you know what? I'm gonna have you make a charisma check as well, because you're not really trying to persuade him or anything.
No, I'm just being nice.
It's just being nice, being cool.
All right. I got 13.
13. Okay. He seems to calm down somewhat, especially kind of once again, he was so upset and so focused on Chance, he didn't really take stock of the three of you for the most part. And he kind of is a little bit taken aback by just the sheer size difference between the two of you. And also, as an Asmar, you are the picture embodiment of like physical, beauty and prowess. Yes, you are. So once again, I think he's probably sort of sat there, maybe a little startled by the stunning person standing in front of him, and he kind of turns into like it's no trouble at all, dad mode. You know what I mean? Like no, it's fine, it's fine. I got it. It's okay. I got it covered. It's all right. And he kind of slowly finishes up. Wow. That didn't take long at all. Like this whole conversation has maybe taken 2 minutes, and he has basically fixed the wall for the most part. He has maybe 1 or 2 bits kind of left to put back into place. But
can I get in there and ask him something?
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
So Nayland, I'm gonna sit. Is there like a stool?
Yes.
Is there like a thing I can lean on?
Sure. Yeah.
All right, so there's like a little stool near him, and I'm gonna just like squat down, even though I'm like 8 feet tall. My knee is like up by my chin.
Yeah.
And be like, I have to say, as another magic using professional, this is some incredibly impressive work. Like, I can't believe how quickly you got this together.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Do you tell us a little bit about your history with magic?
Well.
Now, while she's doing that, I go over to the table and collect the orb.
Cool.
And begin to just sort of toss it in my hand within Nayland's line of sight.
Okay. Got it. And he's going to say, hey, I've been working it's the family business. You know what I'm saying? My father was a carpenter. His mother was a carpenter. We've helped, I'll have you know, my family has actually helped to build several of the quarters and several prominent buildings in the neighborhoods here in Aquambra. Look, it just feels good to make things, all right? Mm-hmm. And not so good to break things. And he, once again, is clearly kind of directing that to Chance. But he's talking to Chance, But he does take notice of D'Avriel playing with the orb kind of in the back. And he goes, what you got there?
Oh, this?
Yeah.
This orb?
Yeah.
We were in the underways. And
You were in the underways? Say less. Say no more. Don't want to hear it. Never mind. Sorry I asked.
oh, Shisha. Okay, wait. Did I say the underways?
Yes.
Did I say we were? Apologies. We were on. And wait, do I lie? Can I lie?
You can lie.
You
Absolutely.
can.
Okay. We were just on an outing, and we happened across this orb, and it seemed interesting. Would you like to take a closer look?
Why don't you make a deception check?
Come on, liar. 20.
20. Was that a nat 20? Did you roll 20 or is it
I rolled
added?
19 plus 1, 20.
A good old dirty 20.
Dirty 20.
Dirty 20. Perfect. All right. Sure enough, there's a moment where he's just like, is this lady trying to get one over on me?
I sure
But
am.
he's so interested actually now in this orb that you have that he kind of discards the possibility that you are lying to him from his conscience. And it's just like, oh, okay. Well, I mean, Chance can help you. I mean, he's the expert, you know.
Let's be honest. You think Chance can do better than you can at this?
I mean, look, if you want to talk about like a nice finish, you know, you want to talk about some hardwood floors, you want to talk about maybe, you know, a Tudor style fronting for a 2-floor building, like I'm your man, don't get me wrong. But the artifacts, you know, contraptions,
Malin.
trinkets.
What can it hurt? To just...
Chance is like also, by the way, Chance is standing there like listening to you say all this, and he's kind of like, yeah, what do I know, man? Like, yeah, Nayland, you might be the guy, man. I don't know, who knows?
Malin, what does it hurt to take a little look? It's going to take maybe like 3 minutes. Can I do a persuasion check?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Okay. 11.
11. He goes, look, listen, like I said, it's lovely meeting all of you, and that's sure a fine orb, don't get me wrong. But like I said, I left lunch with my family, and I'd really like to get back.
Persuasion check.
You want to make one too? Okay. All right.
Okay. It's a 7. It's a 7.
Do you have
but-
any modifier?
Yeah. No, that with the modifier, it's
Okay.
7.
Okay.
But I say, well, that's unfortunate because our fair boss,
That's me.
our boss was just telling us how he thought you were the most intelligent and learned magic identifying person.
You know what? I'll let you make a deception check on top of that.
Okay.
Yeah. Because now you're just straight up lying to his face.
I mean, listen, you
Yeah.
do what you got to do. It's only a 5, man.
5. Dang. Ooh, low rolls.
Win, come
They'll
on
get
in
you.
here, get in here, man.
What help?
I'm just gonna walk up to him straight up, kind of kneel down, because I'm a little bit taller than him, crouch down to his level, and just put my hand on his shoulders, kind of close and really intimate, and just say, "Listen, I heard you have a family that you love, and so do I, and they're in great peril. I'm trying to help them, so you can understand like the stake of trying to help your family. This object that we have stumbled upon potentially could be very threatening to this city, this continent, everyone's families." And we're trying to find out information to keep it from doing anything bad. We can't just discard it. We need to know where it needs to go. And we were thought that you told that you were the guy that could help us and to protect this entire city, this continent. Can you help us?
Go for the honesty.
Make
Wow.
a charisma check. Let's see.
Okay, come on, Win.
We'll see. Why not? Do you inspire him? You know, do your words stir something inside of him? You know,
Does a 7?
based on that reaction, I suspect you already know the answer.
Oh my god.
No, so he is noticeably a little uncomfortable and just slowly removes your hand from his shoulder and kind of steps away. And he goes, "All right, listen, guys. Like I said, I really have to go. Clearly, this is some sort of magical conductor. This is what they normally look like. It's some sort of arcane focus. Like I have one." And he kind of you do notice that he's been holding sort of an engraved kind of birch wand. That not wand's like the wrong word, but it's kind of something that he's been using to focus his energy. And he goes, yeah, it's clearly some spellcaster. You see him around all the time.
But wait, I say, this orb specifically reacts to, what'd you call them?
Aberrations.
To aberrations.
At that, he, once again, could not be, that actually frightens him. You notice his face drops and goes a little white, actually. And he goes, okay, all right. I really need to go now. Whatever it is you people are involved in, I want absolutely no part of it. Chance, please, if you need anything else fixed, I would like written correspondence delivered at least 2 days prior to said project. And he's backing towards the door at this point, and he goes, adventures, artifacts, not my bag. I will see you, hopefully, literally never again. And he kind of backs through the door and leaves. And Chance, beat. He's a great guy. Really good dude. Let me tell you. He's never not shown up, which I think is funny. He just talks a lot, but he does great work. And he motions to the wall. And sure enough, it is completely reconstructed. Like it never happened.
So did we learn anything from that interaction?
I mean,
Other
We
than that
learned it's a magical conductor.
That everyone, it's
That
very
he's
common.
apparently scared shitless.
He's scared
Shootless
of. Yeah, he's.
But
it
this
frightens
one,
him.
this one's not so common. So how did it get down there? Who put it there? Who was using it?
Chance,
Yeah. What's going on, Diablo?
he seemed afraid of the orb when we told him it reacted to aberrations.
Yeah, like I said, aberrations, super bad news. Like really bad news.
But why would he be afraid of something that could repel them?
Probably because, the existence of a weapon to repel aberrations would likely suggest the presence of aberrations somewhere nearby. And also, too, hey, if there were a get-out-of-jail-free card that really messed you up, wouldn't you want to make sure that it goes away forever? Wouldn't you want to destroy it? Or hide it somewhere where no one could ever find it or use it against you? Just spitballing here, you know what I'm saying?
So, Chance, is the fact that we brought this to the surface, does that endanger the city?
Well, I would say, well, the answer is yes. But what magnitude of yes? You know what I'm saying? Because here's the other thing. You brought it to the surface, but that means it was below the surface. And if there was an aberration, or if there was something horrifying, deep, dark, lurking in your basement, wouldn't you want to know that it was down in your basement? And wouldn't you want to do something about it before you found out that it was in your basement? You know what I'm saying?
I really don't.
No?
So, Chance, we already encountered some things in the basement that this orb reacted to.
That is unfortunate.
Should we do anything about that?
Ignorance is bliss. So we could all just go to bed and pretend like this never happened. Although you said I shouldn't nap. Make a cup of tea, forget it, go down to
12 hours at least.
Go to Thistle's End, have a pint, wait for this to all blow over. Or we could do something about it.
Do we know what we're doing something about? I don't. He's
So
concussed.
Look. Oh, you want to huddle? Let's huddle. Hey. I love huddles. And he's gonna kind of get close to you guys and he goes, look, listen, I'm gonna make some calls. Not make calls. I'm gonna get in touch with some people.
I'm gonna scry some
make some
people.
scries.
I'm gonna make some scries.
Way too many colloquialisms for me that make no sense whatsoever. I'm gonna get in touch with some people. They might want to help. They might throw a drink in my face. How about you three go get some rest? I'm gonna be honest, not looking your best right now, and you guys did just fight a horrifying nightmare creature down in the sewers, effectively. So he's not wrong. Let's put it that way. He goes, you're not looking your best. Head back to Thistle's End. Take a nap, because you guys can do that. I can't, but you guys can. And I will call upon the three of you in the morning, hopefully, with some lines of inquiry. Let's put it that way. How's that sound?
Okay.
I'm going to just push like Chance like out of our huddle
Yeah.
and then proceed to close it off
Straight arm-
with us,
straight arm
with us
Chance.
three, just very like gently out, lovingly, forcefully, and then
Sure.
So here's the deal. We haven't given him the ore yet. We also haven't been paid yet. Do we give him the ore and pay him? And do we take the orb with us or leave it with Chance?
Well, I think we should take the orb with us.
Are you guys talking about me?
I think Chance, give us
us a minute, Ben.
moment.
Okay. All right.
go make that, start that tea,
Adventurers,
Chance.
He goes, that's a great idea. And he walks back.
I think we should take the orb with us.
Mm-hmm.
I also am a little hesitant to give him the ore in case he blows himself up before making these scries.
Yeah, that's my concern too.
So, but I also would like to get paid.
Do we have money like on us? I assume we're not just like
He did. So
we're not starting from like zero, right?
No.
Okay.
You probably have some money on you. I will leave it up to you, where it is you want to store the rest of your money. Character decision.
Sure.
Figure it out. He did hand each of you a gold piece.
Oh, we
at
did get the gold
beginning.
piece.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So you have been technically paid. He
Okay.
did say that your trouble probably deserves a little more than, he forked over. But
So I say we rely on him being concussed enough to not realize we haven't given him the ore,
Sure.
and we go get some
it's a
rest.
good strategy.
I would agree. We're going to be back tomorrow. We can always
Yep.
give it off then if
Yep.
we so
True.
choose.
Yep.
Excellent. All right. Wait, I'm sorry. So you're giving him the orb or not?
No, we're
no.
taking the orb and the ore with us
And the ore.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
because we don't want him blowing the place up while we're gone.
He's going to sort of. So he's going to say, "All right, what's the plan?" You tell him the plan, and he goes, "All right, actually, I literally until you mentioned the ore, completely forgotten. This is actually far more exciting. Do what you will. To be honest, not the most secure location here, so I completely understand. If you wanted, I could put it in a lockbox at the bank.
Put the orb in a lockbox?
Yeah, put the orb in a lockbox. Someplace safe." I keep whacking this thing.
It's all right.
I'm sorry. I'm making things so hard for us in about a week's time.
That's a future problem.
No, I'm not feeling good about putting it in a lockbox, y'all.
I mean, I think the question is if somebody comes after the orb, are we more comfortable with the idea that we would be there to protect it, however we would be attacked, or are we more comfortable with it being in a locked public utility that other humans might be in, and they would probably not defend it if it was attacked?
They wouldn't even know that they wouldn't even be on
No.
guard against attack because they wouldn't know it was there.
Let's just take it with us.
Yeah. We're going to take it with us.
All right. Okay. Hey, suit yourself. I get it, Close to the vest. Pretty safe. Fair enough. Also, you guys are pretty tough. That's why you're my A team. You're my go-tos. All right? Fair enough. You know what? Actually, you've talked me into it. Maybe I've talked me into it. I'm not sure. Regardless, head to Thistle's End. I'll see you tomorrow morning. We'll figure out what to do from there. Sound good?
All right.
All
right.
Chance.
I'll catch you guys later.
Okay.
Don't have too many drinks without me. You've never seen Chance drink like once, ever. Not once. For the most part, it has just been tea, and he's fired up the range in the back, and he's got the kettle going. So.
Chance, I need you to do one thing for me before we come back.
Oh yeah, what's up? Anything?
Don't run any experiments tonight.
Oh, I got plenty to do. Also, to be honest with you, I don't think I'm going to be here much. Wait, can I sleep tonight? Is that
12 hours.
okay? All right. I'll get close. He sort of sees as he disappears once again, kind of not disappears, but he makes his way sort of into the back once again. Fumbling through things, opening up doors, checking on the kettle. So you are free to leave. You are free to do what you will. You can stick around.
Let's head back to the
Head to the
inn,
inn.
get cleaned up.
So as we're walking back to the inn, I'm just going to, if we're making conversation, I'm just going to speak out loud and think, just thinking that orb reacted to the aberration, and it was more reactive in the underway, leading to me to believe we were closer to said aberration potentially, or something it was reactive with.
Oh, yeah.
Just throwing that out there that our answers may lie deeper down,
Underneath.
the Underdark.
Any further comments?
No, I think clearly it was reacting to whatever creatures we encountered down there. So I think we can extrapolate that they're probably aberrations. I think the question now is, what is our civic duty in this circumstance?
Well, then I would also suggest, since Nayland, was it his
Nayland, yep.
Nayland seemed particularly afraid of this orb, and it is reactive to aberrations. It feels as if we may be in some sort of danger. So I think that tonight we should take shifts resting to keep watch on the orb and any potential danger, because it'll react to, like if an aberration's in the air, it'll react to the aberration. If for some reason an aberration wants to come for it to try to destroy it once and for all, one of us will see the attack coming and alert the others.
I think that's very smart.
Since I'm a wood elf, I only need to sleep, I think, less than everyone else.
Technically, elves in
just, like, go
D&D
like-
5e
You just
do
meditate,
not sleep.
right?
I just like meditate, and then I have my fun time when you guys are sleeping.
Exactly. You also, so a long rest for most other races is 8 hours. You are 4 hours of intense meditative mental exercises is how you long rest.
Is that the same for me as a mountain elf?
Yes, actually. Come to think of it.
Oh.
Perfect. So then we've got a two shifter and she
Not
can
you.
sleep.
Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know what Asmir do.
Yeah.
you.
So
Sorry.
we'll shift
actually a
up
good
tonight.
point.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right, we're making our way back to the inn.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, I have a little bit of flavor text for you. You trudge your way back to your neighborhood haunt. On the way, you see the usual sights and an early summer afternoon in Aquumbra. After centuries of war and being the bridge between two continents, peoples of all shapes, many faiths, and multiple creeds have made their home here. Families stroll, people haggle with street vendors selling an assortment of foods. The occasional young spellcaster lets off a small burst of light only to be chastised by a parent or a teacher. You're not at the docks, but the sound of seagulls and the smell of salt is never far away in Aquumbra. Eventually, the three of you find your way down a well-worn side street. It's a dead end, but at its end, something quite lively. Your home away from homes, Thistle's End, an inn and tavern beloved by those in the neighborhood of Letterfern. Standing at 2 stories, it's hardly the largest or even the oldest drinking establishment in this part of town. But just as often is true with people, that doesn't make any sense, but as is often true with people, it's what's inside that makes it so grand. You make your way through the heavy oak door, the brass handle seemingly almost grooved by thousands of palms that have opened before you. You're met with a thunderous roar. You look over to the fire to find the proprietor of this fine establishment standing in a grotesque pose. The owl bear loomed over me, gnashing its terrible teeth and flexing its terrible talons. I clutched my sword close as it roared, shouts Ragtar Brutvarg. The stout dwarf is smaller than most in the front room, but his presence takes up a lot of space. I was so scared. What do you think I did? An audience of 5 or so children sit before him on a rug on the stone floor. A chorus of suggestion rings out. Ragtar waits a moment, evaluating their guesses before roaring once again to the young one's astonishment and delight. I suppose you'll just have to come by again to find out. You see a group of presumably parents kind of standing in the corner, looking on, with some affection as the old dwarf entertains their children. And they smile and they wave at Ragtar as the kids kind of scurry to the front door and kind of move past you as you move your way into this front room. What would you like to do?
I think we greet Ragtar.
So he finishes up his little performance and sits back in his chair, kind of close to the fire. He has there's Ragtar's chair. It's fine if other people sit in it for the most part, but I think when the patrons kind of see him, come into the room and think that he's going to hold court, best to have Ragtar in his chair. Let's put it that way. He sort of makes his way over to you, and kind of greets you and says, "It's good to see the three of you again. I never know if you're going to come back." But isn't that what makes life exciting? The not knowing. That's the part I like.
Well met, Ragtar.
Well met, Avriel. I'm assuming drinks? It's a
Yes.
safe assumption for the most part.
We'll take it.
We'll take some
I
drinks.
think we could use it after today.
Fair enough. Come on! And he kind of walks to the back. He gestures for you to follow him, and you sort of move your way through an assortment of tables. Some of them are round, some of them have formal chairs. Some of them have benches. Some of them are square and rectangular. This isn't a particularly well thought out space in terms of interior design. But there's kind of an assortment of things that over the last, 6 or 7 months you've found out that Ragtar kind of procured in his travels here or there. He makes his way to the back bar where there are sort of, thankfully, bar stools that match the height of said bar. Behind the bar is another sort of person that you've gotten to know, a woman standing 6'4". Her name is Winnie. You know her full name to be Windregard of Tonalith. Winnie is a gentle giant, but a sleepy one at that. It's kind of a miracle she's standing upright at the moment. And she has agreed for the time being to sort of man Ragtar's bar. So she is currently sort of washing tankards and standing, with an apron, kind of daydreaming at the moment. Ragtar walks over to the bar and says, Winnie, you know what to do when you see these three. And she snaps out and goes, yeah, absolutely, of course. Nice to see the three of you again. And she turns around and sort of begins to pour you all tankards of ale. And Ragtar makes his way behind the bar, and he looks at the three of you, and he goes, well, what was it this time? What are you, slaying dragons? Fighting owlbears? No, wait, that's what I was doing. Well, not right now, but that's what I was doing 25 years ago. You can tell this is the beginning of a classic Ragtar story. He's got 10,000 of these. He will talk your ear off about, his glory days fighting in combat tournaments down south.
Ragtar.
Yes, of course.
Can I get in there? Since you have so much expertise in the ways of adventuring.
You know how to warm an old man's heart.
Have you ever encountered an aberration?
Ooh, an aberration. Now, I have never had the displeasure of doing so. And quite frankly, thank goodness. Oh, I don't know what I would do. Do you want your mind flayed? Oh, I don't even know what I would begin to do to fight a beholder. Oh my goodness gracious. I tend to psionic powers. I want something I can tear into, something that I know is going to tear into me. I want a good fight.
Yeah, what do you know about aberrations? Do they all have psionic powers or
I don't know much. That's a better question for someone who's probably cracked a few more books in their time.
Well, let me see. Hypothetically, if you were to encounter one, how would you fight it? You've got a real practical skill set. So.
I run as far and as fast away as you can.
Even you, Ragtar?
Oh, even me. Look, I'm not the best warrior, not the brightest, not the fastest, not the strongest. Terrible reflexes, and he starts to list off, but he's a very self-deprecating fellow, But he goes, but the way old Ragtar stayed alive, knowing when to get out of trouble.
Ragtar, have you spent any time or much time in the Underways or the Underdark?
Now, the funny thing about dwarves is that once you leave the underground and you've seen the sky, you can never go back. It is my unfortunate, he says unfortunate, but you've heard 13 different versions of why he left the underground. Sometimes it's, to seek fortune and fame. Sometimes it's to escape a blood feud. Sometimes he's following a lover to the surface, star-crossed and all the poetic, all that. And he goes, can't rightly make my way back down below ground again. It's just the way things are. It's just the way it is.
Ragtar, you've been so many places in the world.
That I have.
Have you ever encountered people or a species of rainbow serpents?
Rainbow serpents?
That perhaps have transformative powers?
Ooh, now I have met a lot of shape changers and some shape shifters, incidentally, but rainbow serpents change in form. Now that is even a little strange for old Ragtar.
How about giant crustaceans?
Ooh, I've eaten some big crabs in my time, in my day. Let me tell you, tasty. Now I just got an idea for next week's menu. But I suspect you're not talking about, a good old-fashioned boil, my friend.
Unfortunately, no. As much as I love Old Bay, this will have to. It's not what we're referring to.
We're a show in the Mid-Atlantic.
Sponsored by?
Yes, oh my God, I'd kill for an Old Bay sponsorship. That'd be so funny.
Ragtar, have you in your travels ever met someone a magic user, an artificer, someone who knew a lot about aberrations?
Ooh, I'm sure I have. In this town, there are all sorts in this town. You could probably find somebody, who knows a thing or two, does a thing or two. I mean, Chance probably, he must know something. That boy, someday if he's not careful, he'll blow his head right off.
Is there anyone who may have more experience than Chance? Is there a university or someone with a lot of book learning?
Well, you could always go down to the academy, I'm sure. But that type of knowledge, aberrations and such, magic having to do with aberrations, those types of subjects, not always welcome as far as I understand. The couple free classes that I've taken, or that I've attended, the lectures that I've attended, for the most part, that type of magic, those types of things, aren't normally things that they'll just talk about out in the open. I
Go ahead.
am concerned that the three of you are asking me so many questions about aberrations. Do you mind if I ask why? I've somehow become Irish in the span of like the last 10 minutes. I'm doing my best on voices. I told myself I wasn't going to do Scottish. So I'm just trying to do like old piratey, and he's Irish now. I don't know why. Anyway.
Well, I have a more important question for you now. Would you fetch us some stew or something to eat? We're starving.
Oh, of course. I can make that happen. Winnie, you see to these three, anything they need, I'll be right back. And he sort of disappears back into the kitchen to consult with the people who are, sort of working back there. I say people, probably Max too. So
While he's back there getting food, I think we need to come to some agreement among us about how many people we tell about what we encountered under the underways.
Yeah, I was gonna say, should we bring this up to a higher authority than us three potentially? I know we are strong and confident, but we are very unknowledged and potentially ill-equipped without even realizing it to deal with this.
Mm-hmm. I do think somebody in authority needs to know that there are very dangerous rainbow lizards beneath the ground.
Well, the rainbow lizards weren't the crustaceans, you mean? Because the rainbow lizard helped us. Do we know?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, the crustaceans.
What is the sort of
Hierarchy?
the hierarchy? Like, if we were going to tell a higher
Municipal
power,
government?
who we tell?
Sure.
Yeah.
Excellent question. So the way that Aquambra sort of governs itself is via an nominally elected body, like representative kind of democratic body called the Sunken Assembly. Now, it used to be back when Aquambra was sort of just finding its feet as a city. The Sunken Assembly was populated for the most part by noble families, people with a lot of money, a lot of power, a lot of influence. But as the years have worn on, as more people have sort of moved to the isthmus, moved to the free ports, and sort of built the city out, those noble families sort of ceded more and more power. Now, the Sunken Assembly consists of representatives from, sure enough, some families, some confederations, like some unions of laborers, of workers, of guilds, but for the most part, representatives from neighborhoods. The city is divided up into sort of a number of different kind of blocks, each of which has a representative that is selected by the community there, that is then sent to the Sunken Assembly. There are it changes on occasion depending on whether or not the body thinks seats need to be added or taken away, but there are at any given time around 200 people in the Sunken Assembly who meet at an eponymous sort of building in what is known as the Sandstone Quarter.
Are any members of the Sunken Assembly at the tavern we're in right now?
To the best of your knowledge, one might come in every now and again, but there is not one staying here currently. You are familiar with the five other people who live here, one of which is Ragtar, one of which is Winnie, Windregard of Tonaleith, her twin sister, Lelia of Tonaleith, and then two other sort of kind of people that you haven't seen. You've hung out with Winnie and Lelia a fair amount, but there are two other people here who kind of keep to themselves. Their names are Lyle Wildehart, and then a gruff and very silent gentleman named Belgan, who is Lyle's companion.
Is there like a mayor or like a central person?
So the Sunken Assembly elects a speaker.
Okay.
So there's one person who campaigns and is basically, they functionally set the agenda for the Sunken Assembly. and sort of, figure out what issues need to be addressed first and what can sort of wait, et cetera, et cetera. Insofar as like law enforcement, for the most part, there actually aren't guards in Aquambra. Disputes are settled kind of in-house. However, if something, and to be quite honest with you, people are for the most part okay with violence. This is a town that has been through a whole lot, and most of the people here are hardy and understand that like danger and violence is just sort of a fact of life here in the Isthmus, here in the Freeports. Most people don't want it to come to that, and if violence spills over and becomes too much of a problem, a dispute can be called to the Sunken Assembly. So the Assembly will summon two people who are feuding, fighting, or two bodies that are feuding, fighting. However, there is no jail. There is no system of incarceration. Instead, what will happen if you are deemed to be the offending party in a truly, truly terrible dispute, what winds up happening is you lose basically all of your access to civil services, to banks, to the academy, to a lot of people will not allow you. Like if somebody was adjudicated in this way and came to Thistle's End, Ragtar would kick them out. You were functionally kind of excommunicated from the community, and kind of made a pariah for the most part. So you're not, it's not no 40 lashes, no, 5 years behind bars, but you probably will have to go find somewhere else to live. And because the Freeports are part of this confederation, you're probably going to have to leave the Isthmus. You're probably going to have to go either north or south to find some place that will, be your home again. And that is it so far. The three of you are currently sitting at the bar waiting for food to come out. And if you don't mind, I will say...
Winnie
yes.
has a sister, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Winnie has a sister. You've met everybody else. In your time here at Thistle's End, you've met everybody else staying. So far, it's Windegard, of Tonaleith, her sister Lelia of Tonaleith. There are two others. There is Lyle Wildehart and Belgin. Just Belgin. So, I'm going to make an executive DM decision and say Ragtar has reemerged, with sort of 3 plates of some steamed vegetables, and some meat, some poultry, Look, not exactly the fanciest meal you've probably ever had. Actually, for some of you, maybe one of the fancier meals you've ever had. But well prepared, well presented, and so far your time here has always hit the spot. So he's gonna sort of reemerge, and I got to keep this Irish thing going up, even though this is not. This voice is not going to go well for me at some point. And he's gonna reemerge and sort of slap him down in front of you, maneuvering behind the bar with Winnie, who, by the way, once again is about 6'4" and built like a brick. Word I can't say.
House?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
FCC hates house.
Thanks for picking that one up, Jen. I mean, we could swear. We've definitely sworn before, but I don't know. It feels wrong sitting in this chair and being like, yeah, let it fly. You know what I mean? So, all right. Ragtar comes back out. He gives you your food. And he sort of says, there you go. Look, it ain't much, but it's honest work. Here you go. And
Thanks, Ragtar.
Yeah.
Looks tasty.
Many thanks.
Yep. All right. So as your meals are sort of served to you, you hear light-ish footsteps sort of coming down these stairs from the second floor. And sure enough, the other of the Tonaleith twins, comes bounding down. She is of lighter frame than her sister. It's confusing. So they both have roughly the same color hair. It's kind of it's a light auburn, let's just say. They're both freckled and pale. And Lilia comes down. You've noticed where Winnie is very sleepy, Lilia, full of life, stays up probably far too late. And she spends long periods of the day where Winnie is sort of helping out around and serving drinks. Lilia spends long periods of her day down in the docking district, making deals, talking to suppliers, getting on the occasional ship to look at manifests. And she sort of walks over to the bar and says, wow, you three look awful. Hey, Ragtar, can I get one plate? And Ragtar sort of, signals a little bit and disappears back into the kitchen once again. Unclear as to whether or not he's preparing this food or someone else is. But regardless, always quality. Win, she's gonna kind of slide your plate a little closer to her and grab a piece of silverware from behind the bar, and just kind of start to push some of your vegetables around a little bit. And she's gonna say, "So what's cooking? Good looking. What's going on? What you guys been up to?"
I'm gonna say, no, please help yourself. Help yourself. It's not like you've been dealing with magical conductors and aberrations or anything yourself.
Oh, yes, you're absolutely right. Quite frankly, if you were smart, as smart as I am, you wouldn't be dealing with magical conductors and aberrations either. Ridiculous. She's gonna, stab one of your vegetables as a little period on the end of her sentence, and pick it up and kind of munch and sit back and just kind of smile at you or in your general directions. Aberrations. The three of you, you're glorified fetch quest takers. What, you go down into those dusty little tunnels, you grab some rocks, you bring them back to the orange kitty cat, and boom, that's your day sorted. Aberrations. Don't be ridiculous.
Lilia. First of all, well met. Second of all, hope you're enjoying dinner on us. You sound like you have some experience with aberrations. Is that true?
I've heard a thing or two. Me and my sister have traveled all over the northern continent. You spend enough time in enough taverns, you hear enough things. You learn you should make some things that exist in this world as scarce a presence in your life as possible. And otherworldly beings with powers untold. Something I intend on steering pretty clear of. I'd recommend the three of you do too. That being said, the three of you do a lot of things I wouldn't do. So,
Judgy. Wow.
Coming in hot.
Yeah. So, Lilia, you've never actually encountered an aberration?
Closest I ever came, at one point, me and my sister did some dealings with a group of, and she sort of stops and thinks about the exact word she wants to use, procurers of certain items and substances that may or may not have been affiliated with a particular beholder, but seen one myself, no, I can't say that I have.
So are beholders the only variety of aberration? Because they seem to come up as the prime example a lot.
I'd say they're the most famous, but if you were an otherworldly being, and you were operating here trying to influence events or make your name, make your fortune, in maybe easier circumstances than wherever it is you would come from, wouldn't you want to keep a low profile? Maybe beholders aren't the most famous. Maybe they're just the worst. At keeping it on the down low.
They're big eyeballs.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Beholders are very famous Dungeons & Dragons monsters. They are, as Paige puts it, sort of monstrous floating circular creatures with one eyeball in the center. Like, sometimes they have mouths, sometimes they don't, but they have stalks. They have eye stalks with a little eye at the end, each of which, in some versions of them, has like their own spell they cast. So they are monstrously,
Big eyeballs.
Yes.
Beholder. Thank you, Mike, for the visual.
Yes, they are.
Win. I'm sorry. Thanks, Win, for your iPhone visual.
Win summons an image in midair.
They're just like ridiculously powerful. So you're sort of trying to drag this information out of Lelia. Yes.
So I stretch over across the bar and grab another fork, plunge it into the poultry, and slide my plate down to Lily and say, Lily, have you ever heard tales of a giant crustacean aberration or mystical rainbow snake people?
Ooh, well, that's exciting. Mystical rainbow snake people, there are definitely snake people up in the north. But rainbows, Win, you would certainly know. And her gaze kind of lingers on you maybe a second longer than you would like or are comfortable with. I'll let you figure that out.
What's going on?
And she says, well, it doesn't stop raining long enough in the north for rainbows, so I'd bet you're probably, want to read a book on something from the south. As far as giant crustaceans go, seen a lot of big crabs, but it sounds like you're thinking of a specific crustacean. Might head down to the docks, talk to some of the sailors, pretty friendly guys, if you know how to grease the right palms, make the right friends. Probably find what you're looking for there.
Celeste takes her plate and puts it in her lap protectively. Is there a particular sailor you would recommend we reach out to for old-timey legends and such?
Now that is a good question. Now, I can't tell you his name. If he wants you to know his name, he'll tell you. But
isn't that the same with all people in the world?
just let me finish my sentence, all right? Head down to the docks. Look for the first shipmaster. Look for the first person, taking names, taking coin, and ask for Flush.
Flush.
Flush will find you. Tell him Lilia sent you.
And Lilia, you mentioned perhaps reading a book about creatures from the South, aberrations from the South. Any titles you'd like to throw out?
I don't do much reading, to be honest with you. Like I said, spend too much of my time gambling. She's gonna actually hold on. She's gonna sort of take note, Davriel, of your sort of disapproval at her saying that she doesn't read very much, and she is going to just kind of keep trucking on through her sentence. And she says, I don't read very much. Yeah, like I said, too much drinking, too much business, too much gambling, generally too much being an absolute legend. But if you're looking for books, the Academy is the best spot. And at that moment, right before she kind of gets in that next part of the sentence, you hear the front door open, and the final two guests at Thistle's End are going to walk in. That is Lyle Wildehart and his companion Belgan. Lyle is a studious, clever, and kind young gnome. He's pretty frail of frame, even by gnomish standards. He has sharp blue eyes and red hair. He spends a lot of his time in Aquumbra, meeting with lords and ladies and other city officials kind of around this city. There's nothing about him. He doesn't go by any title. You don't see him flash a lot of cash. There's nothing about him that would suggest that he is of particular import, of particular note. But the fact that he keeps getting these meetings would seem to suggest that his station is a little higher currently than he's letting on. You get the sense that he sort of prefers to stay out of the limelight. When he is sort of down in the tavern at Thistle's End, he tends to sit in the corner with Belgan, kind of his head in a book. He doesn't add to conversations unless being specifically addressed or asked, which is Ragtar absolutely loves. He loves putting Lyle on the spot, and Lyle's a good sport. It's not like I shouldn't say good sport, and then it's that he gets uncomfortable. But he only really participates when he sort of chooses to. The one thing, the one sort of especially strange thing about Lyle is that in conversations with him and Belgan, you get the sense Lyle might actually not be his real name. The two of them have come close to slipping up on several occasions, but Lyle has given you no reason to distrust him or to feel anything other than perfectly safe around him in the time that you've spent. So that's Lyle. Belgan, Lyle's companion. They don't. Once again, they do not address each other as such. But there's no way this guy isn't his bodyguard. Everything about this dude screams absolutely soldier. He has several scars all over his body. He wears his hair high and tight. He does not smile basically ever, and he says sort of even less. He is a hulking human standing 6 feet tall with jet black hair. Doesn't say much of anything. He's not a lot of fun to talk to, and he seems to sort of like it that way. He's constantly scanning for danger, even in the tavern, even when the two of them are sort of sitting in the corner by themselves. So, Lyle and Belgan sort of walk back in, and Lyle, kind of gives you all a friendly wave. Belgan, just scowls in your general direction. Lilia gets to the next part of her sentence. Or, speak of the devil and he shall appear. You could ask Short Stack, instead of going down to the Academy. And Lyle, having been addressed, it walks up to the bar, looks at the three of you and sort of, the four of you, I guess, at that point, and says, hail and well met. Ask me what?
Lyle, well met.
Yes, Gabrielle.
We're seeking information about aberrations, particularly aberrations from the south. Crustacean aberrations, large crustacean-like aberrations.
Ooh. May I inquire as to the reason your motivations in obtaining this particular bit of information?
There are implications to that information about the crustacean aberrations.
I understand. And I certainly understand the need for discretion. This is, once again, one of the first times that you're hearing Lyle kind of wink, wink, nudge, nudge, about discretion for the most part. Mm-hmm. But at this point, you sort of get the feeling that the three of you have watched him for 7 months and, might suspect a thing or two. Well, I myself have never put much time or thought into the study of creatures or as some might, God, what an absolutely ghastly term, monsters. I do seem to remember them coming up, their natures, their origins, popping up in several books I read at academies past. I would certainly be more than happy to accompany you, or even if the three of you are unavailable, walk to the academy myself and attempt to make a few inquiries at some point should the opportunity arise.
That would be awfully kind of you.
Absolutely. Would you prefer one or the other in terms of I suppose how I should phrase it, would it be useful for the three of you to remain discreet, or would you find the counsel of a subject matter expert most helpful to the point where you would discard discretion?
So here's my question, because right now we have, I'm sorry, can I cross?
We all
Absolutely, absolutely.
We've got 2 tasks right now.
Yes.
We can go to the academy, we can go to the docks, or we could, is this an option that we could, people could go in different directions? Like a couple people go to the docks, one person accompanies
We could split
Lyle,
up. Yeah.
You could split,
We could
totally.
split up.
Yeah.
and then come back together?
I mean, I will say if we do that, I would be a little concerned for whoever is carrying around the orb, because I have a feeling that the orb may attract an aberration at some point, and they would be pretty SOL if they were by themselves.
I think it makes the most sense for the orb to stay with the magic users. Especially since the orb seems to have at least some minimal kind of reaction to me. So if it's activated when I have it, then it seems like it would be attracted to me. So I think it needs to stay at least in the company of one magic user.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes. I can hang on to it because I am large.
Big pockets. Big pockets.
Big pockets. And as a cleric, I'm sort of a split between a magic user and also somebody with a giant warhammer. So
I'm sorry, that's hilarious.
Celeste really multitasks. So yeah, I can hang on to it. But are we saying then in that case, do you want to go off and do something and then we go do something, or?
So I'm happy to go to the docks while the two of you go to the academy with Lyle.
Cool.
Or vice versa, whichever makes most.
Fair enough. All right. Is that the plan?
Yeah.
Is that what we're thinking?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Lyle, we would love for you to accompany my 2 comrades here to the academy to learn more about crustaceous aberrations.
Of course, absolutely. Belgin kind of is behind him, and his brow furrows kind of at this particular plan, but he makes no effort to intervene in this negotiation. And Lyle says, I believe I have some time tonight, if you are at all interested. If you would be willing to wait around, the two of you, I need to see to some preparations with regard to documents. It will take me some time, unfortunately, given the current vellum and ink supply in my room, in my room. But provided your patience, we will be on our way as soon as possible.
Yeah. How much time are you thinking, Lyle?
2 hours, if it's all the same to you.
Sounds good.
I think that sounds good.
I will meditate in the meantime.
Okay. So I'm gonna, unless somebody would like to like do something specific, for the next 2 hours, I'll sort of fast forward us through here. If you want to have any other conversations with Winnie, Lelia, Lyle, Belgin, or Ragtar. No.
Drinking game round?
I've run drinking contests. We can definitely do that at some point. I will say, unfortunately, dwarves have a real advantage in
Fair.
that.
Maybe tomorrow night.
Yeah, fair enough. So, 2 hours pass, and you spend your time, sort of either in your rooms or sort of down in the tavern in Thistle's End talking to Lelia or talking to Winnie. They really don't have anything else to say on the subject of aberrations, but you pass the time either playing cards, reading, however it is you think your characters would sort of, burn 2 hours. It sounds like Celeste is meditating. Wynn is burning something.
Lighting things on fire,
The
putting
light
them out.
burn.
Davriel, what do you think you do to sort of pass time?
In the night hours, I go outside and I gaze at the stars because I miss the sight of the stars in the mountains.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay, so we're sort of hitting, I think I said last session, you guys got to Chances at noon, got your assignment, went down into the underways, fought the big crab, kind of came back up, talked to Chance for like a half hour. Like it was like 2:30, fantasy 2:30 when you got back. Some people write like really intense calendar and time systems for their games, and I have just never bothered.
Fantasy 2:30.
It's fantasy 2:30. You wait another 2 hours, and you kind of hit the 4:45. Lyle takes a little longer than I think he was very eager to please a little bit. It takes a little longer. Probably hits like 5 o'clock. The sun is kind of sinking. The shadows. There aren't many like horrifically tall buildings in Aquambra. Once again, this is sort of a cobbled together city that has grown as people have flocked to this particular part of the world. But the shadows grow longer. The street lamps come on. They are magically powered. People start filtering away from jobs, kind of back into their homes or into taverns. A couple more patrons show up at Thistle's End. People from around the neighborhood that you've met here and there. And all seems to be kind of going pretty normally for the most part. And I need everybody to make a perception check for me, please.
It's like when things are going pretty normally.
I know.
Oh my God. Hang on.
Oh wait, that didn't.
Oh no.
What does a skull mean?
There we go. Got a little stuck.
I think a skull is a nat 20, actually. On those dice, I think it's a nat 20.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Or if that's if you look on, do you see a 1 or a 20 anywhere, Jen?
Is that a 1?
I see a 1.
Okay,
Skull is
no,
a
then
20.
skull is a
20.
20. Nice, yeah.
I
Okay.
rolled 21. If you're adding.
21.
Yeah.
And I got 22.
I got.
So a 20 is a crit success.
Oh.
And it technically actually ranks even higher than like a 22, 23, 24. Yeah. Is that your first nat 20 of the campaign?
Yes, it is.
Congratulations.
Don't call it a comeback.
That's a big moment. That's a big moment.
Go, Gabrielle.
Celeste, what do you got?
15.
15. Perfect. Okay. You two, maybe from just, kind of having existed out in the harsh wilds, or especially in this, especially are especially attuned to sounds that should not be, things that are out of place kind of in your environment. The sound that catches your ear is not emanating or originating from inside of the tavern. It's from very far away, but close enough that it is of concern to you. Someone, you're guessing based on the direction from the main road, is calling for help. That doesn't happen often in this part of town, or actually in this town, period. What do you do?
Where are we at? Are we still downstairs?
You're hanging out in Thistle's End in the tavern, just enjoying yourself, passing time.
Well, maybe just kind of Wynn will stand up here and kind of walk over to the window, assuming there's a window somewhere. Just kind of pop my head out the window, see,
Fair
what's
enough.
odd.
This was a kind of throwaway detail, but it is important, I think, in this in this instance. So Thistle's End is kind of at the end of a it's not quite an alleyway, but it's like a side street with no outlet on the other side. So this seems to be coming from the main road. So unfortunately, you will have to exit the tavern in order to sort of figure things out.
Gabrielle looks at Wynn and does like this, gives him like a thumbs up signal pointing up, and then she runs upstairs and using her elf-like agility scrambles out of a window and up onto the roof.
Wow, okay. All right. Let's make an acrobatics check for me.
Is that still this one?
Yes.
Come on, baby. 11.
11. Okay. You're pretty good at climbing. You grew up, in wooded areas surrounded by nature. This is not your easiest ascent ever. And I think maybe the first time that you've tried to climb onto the roof of Thistle's End. In fact, this might not be down to your sort of athletic ability. Maybe it's time Ragtar installed a new roof on this bad boy at some point. He's been putting it off for a little too long. A shingle or two here pops off, drops. There may be a nervy moment. But once again, you're pretty good at this. You managed to sort of make your way up onto the roof. You can see at the intersection of the street that Thistle's End is on and the main road on the outside, there is a palanquin that has been dropped. 3 robed figures stand calling for help opposite 3 individuals in sort of military dress, in armor.
Oh, wait, I'm still meditating. Celeste doesn't know what's happening right now.
That is actually technically true. Yeah, Celeste is.
Aside,
is great.
I have wild shape, right?
Yes.
I'm druid, even though I'm Moonfire.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Can I shapeshift into a bird here and take a gander?
So birds.
What's in my list? Is that level above my level?
I was gonna say, yeah, flying creatures. You're level 3, so I think flying creatures don't pop in until a little later. Although I'm super bad at druid.
Well, it's fine. I gotta pull up a creature list here. I think I'm gonna change shape and run out real quick, and scamper over and see what's up. But I gotta see my list. Okay, well, before I do any of this, I'm gonna yell upstairs to Davri and say, what do you see?
I see. There's a palanquin. It's been dropped. There's 3 robed men and 3 men in military garb. Do I recognize the military garb?
You can make a history check.
I'd like to make a history check.
Absolutely. Go right ahead.
10.
10. So you have seen this sort of particular, although this armor and sort of vestments are kind of tattered a little bit. They don't seem to be taken very well care of. However, I did mention when talking about sort of crime and punishment in Aquumbra, there are very few, if any, guards. The only guards are really around to guard the sunken assembly building, and maybe a few heritage sites or items that are kind of kept around. This does appear to be the livery of sunken assembly guardsmen. These are city guards that you've almost never seen in sort of official dress, in kind of out in the city, basically anywhere. The only time you can remember having seen them is if they just come in for a drink, or to see friends or to chat with Ragtar, et cetera, et cetera.
Do you recognize the robed creatures or people? Humanoid.
It's another history check.
It's the city guard, but they're looking dusty. 16.
16, very good. You don't recognize the robes themselves, but you do remember, because there aren't so many churches, so many temples, so many religions, places of worship, in this town. Formally, you would sort of remember hearing about this. There do seem to be there's a new religious order in town. Then you vaguely remember hearing something about white.
When I see the city guard and clerics of some sort, I believe. I don't
Clerics.
I'm not clerics. I'm sorry, is that the wrong word?
No, they could be clerics.
Yeah.
No, Celeste is just very interested.
Oh, or clerics of some sort.
Have you woken up from your
Snap.
Oh yeah,
your
he
meditation?
yelled.
Oh,
He
that's true.
yelled.
That's a good point.
Celeste dropped to the ground.
All right, so the
with
two of
a
you
thud.
are outside, and Davriel is up on the roof currently. Okay, all right.
Ever the main characters, we gotta go. I think investigate this. You know, very about myself. So
Fair enough.
I think at least to win, I'll probably give you like a little head nod to the right for those that can't see, whichever way the road is, and start making my way towards the street there to investigate. This seems a little out of the ordinary, and
Fair.
I'm intrigued.
We have to help
enough.
clerics.
Clerics. Godly folk.
Celeste is
We stick together.
yelling.
Celeste
clerics.
just runs away.
Yeah.
All right, so we're all making our way. Davriel, do you want to stay on the roofs, or do you want to head down to street level with your compatriots here?
I think I'm going to follow them because it's like 3 and 3. So if something goes really south, they're not in a great position to defend themselves.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so you're hopping down.
Yeah, I'm hopping
All
down
right.
the roof.
So the three of you make your
Triple
way.
foot to the ground. Cat-like.
Cat-like. The three of you make an acrobatics check for me.
I was like, very confident.
Oh, damn, I got a 2. Broken leg.
All right. Here's what happens. You did, once again, a graceful fighter. Once again, you wouldn't attempt to flip if you hadn't done so before. Here's the thing: cobblestones on your landing, little uneven.
Oh, it's the cobblestones.
It's the
fault.
it's
fine.
the cobbles. Yeah, you swear it's the cobblestones. That's what made you, kind of. That's what made you stumble, right? It's definitely the cobblestones. So you successfully dismount, maybe just not quite as coolly, not quite as slick as you would have liked it to be. You know what I'm saying?
Fine.
All right.
We're already halfway down the street.
Yeah,
so
fair
that's
enough.
fine.
Nobody saw
Nobody saw.
That definitely true. So
Ragnar in the window.
so.
And Lily is like,
You all make your way to the intersection. You step outside Thistle's End and make your way to the main road. A palanquin has been set down on the cobblestone street. Several people in dingy combat dress are blocking the people in robes sort of ways. These robes are long, sort of white garments of heavy fabric with sort of bright blue, not quite sky blue, but maybe like a sapphire trim. And these are these three are kind of calling for help. And they are shouting kind of in all directions, not necessarily to the three of you, although once they see you approach, then they shift their focus. And they are just sort of shouting, "The servants of the Deep Lord require assistance. Good people of Aquambra, please deliver us from this menace." And then they see the three of you sort of approach and they say, "Good citizens, please, we require your mercy, your assistance." And these 3 city guards, not looking very official, let's put it that way, kind of stand opposite. And before you can get a word in edgewise, the one at the front, who seems to be the oldest, kind of the most grizzled, says, "Enough! We will silence you and your deep lord. The people of Aquambra will be free from your treachery forever soon enough." And they all sort of unsheath. So the first guy has a sword, and the 2 in back kind of brandish spears, seemingly ready to do battle with these seemingly defenseless religious practitioners.
Do we
What do you do?
recognize I realize this might be a check. Do we recognize at all could we recognize the Deep Lord, that name?
You can make a history check on the Deep Lord, yes.
I'm going to make a history check.
Do it.
Blast. How about a nice 5?
Deep Lord, kind of the same-ish as Davriel a little earlier, saying like, I remember like hearing about this at one point, maybe in Thistle's End, maybe from like a city official, drinking down at the other end of the bar. But I don't know, Deep Lord, white robes, gods that aren't mine, whatever. Insofar as the specifics, their specific history, what it is they're doing in town, et cetera, not in your memory bank anywhere currently. So.
Celeste is gonna just walk right into the middle.
All right, so you walk into the middle, and the guard with the sword, who sort of seems to be in charge, points his blade kind of in your direction. They're probably standing, let's see, 80 to 100 feet, kind of away from each other. So it's not like he's holding his sword like straight in your face, but you are directly in its path should he choose to charge. And he says, "Back up, miss. We have no quarrel with you."
Good sir. Good law enforcement. Why are we harassing
Do not
these
address us as
gentle-
such. We are guards no longer. Now we act for the city and soul of Aquambra.
Wait, what's the difference?
If the city will not do what must be done, then we, the good people, should do it for the city.
What must be done?
Oh, the elimination of these traitors.
Why are they traitors?
If you don't already know, then you must have thrown your lot in with them.
Well, that's pretty...
Their treachery is
pretty
plain
big
for
jump
all
right
to
there.
see, and they start to sort of move kind of in your direction.
I'm just gonna jump the gun and just cast Entangle on this guy right now.
geez.
Oh, wow.
Thanks, Mike.
I was going to go for a persuasion check there, but no, it's cool.
Wow, all right.
Mike's
there's-
like, enough, win.
Is it a
Shut
str-
it down.
Wind shuts it down.
Entangle has foiled me in several instances. I shouldn't say foiled. That's not really what a DM does, but it is a strength saving throw. All right. So there are 3 of these people, and so the saving throw is going to be 8 plus your strength modifier plus your proficiency bonus.
So it's 8 plus my modifier.
Yes.
Which is 1 plus proficiency is 2, so 11.
11. All right. So they have to beat an 11 or be entangled.
Okay.
All right. Tie goes to the roller. That's a 9, so 1 is entangled. And a 4. All right. Here's how this is going to work. You cast Entangle. The 2 with spears in the back are caught in your spell. The cobblestones move apart, and from up in the dirt, your magical vines worm their way into existence and wrap themselves around the limbs and crack the spears, being held. These 2, for the moment, are out of play. However, I'm going to need you 3 to roll initiative as the last guard takes his sword and cuts through the vine that is meant for him, that is meant to immobilize him, and dashes forward clearly with the intent to attack Celeste, and if not Celeste, these robed figures, these worshippers. So I'm going to need everybody to roll initiative. That's your D20 plus your Dex modifier.
19.
14.
Nice.
14.
19, 14, 14. So that's Celeste. Actually, okay, so you both rolled 14. Whose Dex modifier is higher?
I have a 3.
I have a 1.
3.
have a 1.
Okay, so next up is going to be Win and then Dabriel. And then we need to roll for our friend with the sword. Well, actually, our not so friend with the sword. Oh yeah. Okay. Nice. All right, Celeste, you are up first.
Okay, well, while yelling, "Violence is the last bastion of the spiritually bankrupt," I'm gonna throw my
my God.
We could have talked it out. And cast Shield of Faith on myself.
Shield of Faith on yourself. Can you tell me what Shield of Faith does?
It gives +2 to my AC, basically.
Nice.
So it
Your AC is
surrounds
already
me with
pretty
a
high.
shimmering field.
Okay. All right. So, yes, you may successfully do that. All right. So you're sort of bracing for impact here. Is that
Pretty much, yeah.
okay? All right. So that's a bonus action. So you could, I mean, I guess it's specified as a bonus action. So you can still take an action if you want to. You can move. You can do a lot of different things.
I'm gonna brace. I'm just gonna brace. I feel like Celeste wouldn't make the first move.
Fair enough.
It's
All right.
against her groove.
Okay. All right. Next up is Win. So Celeste has protected herself and is bracing.
Do I need to channel entangle, or is it just like cast?
Entangle is entangle a.
I don't remember.
Is it a concentration spell? That's the question. Although that doesn't really. It is so it's a concentration spell, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you can't do other stuff. The two like main things that end spells that are labeled as concentration are if you take damage, or if you go to cast another concentration spell.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I guess how far away were you from all the activity? I guess me.
You guys are sort of right in the middle, and there's like 30 to 40 feet on either side. This guy's charging. He hasn't made his turn yet, so he hasn't actually, for all intents and purposes, moved.
Well, I'm gonna kind of run in next to Celeste here, and I guess cast Shillelagh. Charge up my quarterstaff here.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so your quarterstaff, you are also sort of ready. All right.
Yeah.
Is that it? Is that all?
That is it.
All right. Last but certainly not least. Actually, technically not last, but.
I kind of want to know if this is possible because what I want to do is using my elf-like dexterity. I want to take my dagger and I want to throw it, but blade from the blade in such a way that the hilt of the dagger strikes him on the temple, knocking him out.
Okay.
That's what I want to do. I don't want to kill him. I just want to knock his ass out.
So you can always tell me that you're trying to deal non-lethal damage if you don't like actually want to kill somebody or like permanently maim them. That is always an option, and you can certainly throw your dagger as well. And you are, I believe, well within range. You are well within range. Yeah, 26. Perfect. Okay. Are you? I did say there was like 30.
I'm an elf, don't forget.
So actually, you can move. So if you want to be like fully within range to really have a good shot at this, you can take some of your movement speed and get closer to this guy and kind of go to his side and try and whack him. How does that sound?
That sounds good.
Okay. All right. So you are going to move from your starting position. And you're going to move to flank this gentleman because he's charging straight forward towards your two friends. So he's faced fully there. So you're going to move to his, I guess, right and attempt to throw this dagger. So I'm going to need you to roll to hit and then add your dexterity here. On your roll to hit here, you're going to D20. You're going to add your dex modifier. Mm-hmm. And then we're also going to add your proficiency bonus.
Okay. 18 plus, you said dex mod plus 1, 19 plus, what was the other one?
Your proficiency bonus.
For dex, wait. Plus 2. Okay, so
18,
21.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh, that's a definite hit. All right, so you can now roll 1d4 for damage.
Wait, this?
So,
Triangle boy.
Thank you. I don't know how to read this. How do you read it?
2.
All right. You crank this guy. He's not wearing his helmet. And sure enough, the hilt of your dagger lands true. You have certainly disoriented him. However, you have not rendered him incapacitated. But he is looking, you definitely clang him. And he moves from his 12 o'clock absolute battle charge. He moves and kind of wobbles a little bit and falls over, sort of sat, trying to collect himself a little bit. You have scored a successful hit, and I will say we are out of initiative. What would you like to do?
Is it my decision?
It is. You took the last turn. I will let you have the first move here. So no longer taking turns.
Okay.
We're just doing what we like.
I pull, let me see, we're in close proximity. I pull my short sword and run up and put my sword to him to hold him in place since he's disoriented, to just basically like, check yourself, fool.
So you're actually make an intimidation check for me.
This one?
Yes.
Wait.
D20.
D20. The big one.
14. And then is that, what do I, plus 3, 17.
17. All right. Yes. You can see you've rung his bell, but the one thing that'll make you clear out pretty quick, is something very sharp, very close to your throat. So he, looks up and you can see sort of the fear in his eyes. And he, in sort of pained breath, shaking, he's going to look at you and say, please, you don't know what they're doing.
And I say, friend, we want to give you a chance to explain, but you can't do that while you're trying to kill us.
You don't even make it through the last part of that sentence, and I need you to make a dexterity saving throw.
10, 11.
11. Ty goes, okay, yep, fair enough. So you don't make it through that sentence as you were trying to explain the ins and outs of having a civil conversation about rights and wrongs without blades. You hear the whistling over your right shoulder. And that is a sound that is very familiar to you. You know for sure to get the hell out of the way. You tuck and roll and dodge to your left. You hear the sound before you feel any impact. A shard of ice embeds itself in this man's forehead. You hear his last breath sort of escape. The shard of ice seems to explode and move down his body. He perishes almost instantly. His body falls back onto the cobblestone street. Similarly, Mike, you notice in your entangle spell, 2 more shards of ice have embedded themselves in the chests of the other guards that you had trapped and sort of removed from combat. You turn to discern the source of these ice shards killing these 3 guards. The palanquin doors have opened, standing in fine white and blue regalia, diamonds sewn into the front of this sort of finery, is a tall, probably 6'4" figure with a glass mask encasing its head. Underneath its clear features, you can see blue shining liquid obscuring whatever skin it has underneath. And it turns to the 3 of you, and in your minds you hear, "The Deep Lord thanks you, but mercy is no longer required." And that's where we'll leave it for today.
Well, that's creepy as hell.
Nice.
That's the Deep Lord.
Oh, God. There's
Girl,
a lot going on.
What's the orb doing? Feels like the orb might be heating up pretty soon.
I don't know. The orb's in my backpack. It's
You say-
chilling.
Those big pockets, if you remember.
Man, I feel like we got hosed, y'all. We got hosed. But we tried not to kill him. We weren't trying
We
to
didn't want
harm
to kill him.
I could have blew them up with fire, and I chose
You chose
not
you
do
chose
fire.
I know.
not
I
to
have
blow
2
them
tricks,
up with
fire
fire.
and tangle.
I was just going to chit-chat.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Public Radio&D. My players are Mike Kidd, 1A's engineer, Paige Osburn, now of the Slate Podcast Network, and of course, Jenn White, the host of 1A. My name is Chris, and I'm your Dungeon Master and 1A's digital editor. Remember to take care of the people at your table. We will adventure with you all again soon.